we're back. Back on House of Horns. Welcome to another edition of House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me is former Rams beat writer for the OC Register, and now does it for Sports Illustrated. He's a staff writer there. He's been covering the whole NFL. He's been giving out some good and some bad grades out there. But Gilbert Manzano, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well. I got the cat already flying behind me, so that means it's time to record. So they only jump behind me when it's time to go live. So, doing well, and I'm here keeping track of my phone because I'm still doing a bunch of NFL free agency grades for SI. So, I just did a grade on Sheldon rankings going to the Bengals. So I'm keeping tabs on all the moves, but I am very intrigued about those LA Rams and what they're doing in the trenches.
Yeah, well, before we get to that, Gilbert, I kind of, want to take a little time here to kind of go over some of the, just your perspective of free agency. You're getting to cover it, league wide. You've seen what the Rams have done, but I kind of just want to get your takeaways of, the first couple of days of, tampering, and then now the official new year of the season, of the NFL. What's been your kind of your takeaway, whether it's good or bad, from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, the legal tampering period is stupid. Just call it free agency. Why are we waiting 2 days for the Happy New Year? I hate the Happy New Year, but that's just my rant there. So everything started Monday. A lot more happened Tuesday. Not as much today being Wednesday. Calvin really did go to the Tennessee Titans. I guess that was a big time shocker. I'm not too surprised because the longer you made Calvin really wait because the Jaguars were trying to keep their second round pick. And more teams coming in and giving offers. So speaking of a very enticing offers, the offensive guards went off the board very quickly. We'll get into the Rams offensive guards there, but Robert Hunt getting $100 million 5 years from the Panther was pretty out there, and it kind of tells you how the NFL draft dictates the free agency. Like there's a lot of good wide receivers in the draft, a lot of good offensive tackles in the draft, and they're not going off the board in free agency because they all want to draft a wide receiver or a tackle. But you could get a nice guard. The guards are available, so they're splurging on guards. The running backs, there's not many good ones in the draft, but there are many good ones in free agency. So they're coming off the board. So, it's just funny to see how they kind of, they're kind of they relate to each other, the free agency and the draft. And eventually, the NFL has to change the franchise tag for offensive tackle and offensive guard. They're getting paid the same money. So you don't want to pay an offensive guard the same money as an offensive tackle in the franchise tag. That's why tackles get tagged and then guards don't, and they hit the open market. So there was a bunch out there, but guards are important too.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I was going to ask you, and it has to do with what you brought up, the guards. Also, the defensive tackles are now getting paid just as much. Do you see that happening now too, where the defensive tackles are going to have a different franchise tag than the defensive ends, or is that the same amount? Or why is that the guards are paid the same as the left tackles or the right tackles?
Yeah, they're all tricky. I think they are a little more separated because there's like a linebacker spot, but that's mostly like edge rusher, but linebackers are more inside linebackers. So it's very confusing on defense. But regardless, edge rusher and interior defensive lineman, they're about the same nowadays because they're making a lot of money. Like Aaron Donald and Chris Jones are making, almost as much as Nick Bosa, not as quite, but that tells you a lot. Back then they would have been edge rusher super high and then defensive tackles, well below, a couple notches below. But the more you could do, the better. And also, if you're durable and you're hard to find, like these interior defensive linemen who could rush the passer, push the pocket, stop the run. The more you could do, the better. So we see guys like Quentin Williams, we see guys like Jeffrey Simmons, we see Dexter Lawrence, we see obviously Aaron Donald in LA. So these, at first it seemed like it was Aaron Donald right here, and all these guys just started stepping up, and they're all getting paid for it. So, it's we're seeing the boom there for the position. And then for the running backs, like they got paid a little more. Like remember last year it was Miles Sanders who only got $6 million per year. Now guys like Josh Jacobs and Saquon are making like $12 million per year. It's like a short term contract. So a little progress for the running backs at least.
Yeah, and I mean the salary cap going up also helped things, and that's what we'll kind of turn things over to the Rams here, and just the fact, and I'll just start off by saying this, in this episode, for everybody who's joining us, I already see Gary Trujillo. He already has a comment. So if you have any comments, any questions, we'll talk about them. Make sure you send your questions in. We'll have them at the end of the episode where we kind of go over your comments, and we'll answer some of your questions. So please send your questions, and we'll get them, we'll get them answered. But in this episode, Gilbert, we'll do a little recap of everything that has to do with the Rams and free agency. Plus, let what we missed with the team since our last show. But Gilbert, I just want to say, we are still giving away a Puka Nakua jersey. So, we're trying to get to 1,000
Yeah.
subscribers. Almost getting to 900 every day. It seems like there's more and more subscribers. So welcome to all the new subscribers and everybody who's been locked in with us for a while now. It's been great to see how this site has been going on. But I want to ask you, what can people check out that we have going on the Compas on the B network? We got a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
you need to check out, right?
Well, first of all, we're 3 subscribers away to get to 900. So if you're watching this show, this live right now, House of Horns, and you haven't subscribed, do so right now so we can get to 900 subscribers. So we just need 1, 2, 3 subscribers, and that's it. We're not asking for a lot. So, I've been waiting to get to 900 there, and eventually we'll get to 1,000, and we'll give away the Puka Nakua jersey. So when we get to 1,000, we'll give away a jersey, but it's gonna be kind of like a raffle. So watch the show like you're doing right now, and eventually I'm gonna give away some Puka Nakua keywords. Like when I say, "Hey, here are the keywords for the giveaway," just type them in the live chat or type them in the comments when you watch the replay video, and I'll lock you in for an entry to the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. If we get to 900 today, we're only 100 subs short, so we're trying to get there. But the exciting part here, Victor, is like we're gonna start a Compas on the Beat newsletter, and this newsletter we're gonna have a bunch of analysis and our thoughts about the Rams. So go to compasonthebeat.com, and when you go to the website, like kind of scroll to the middle a little bit, you'll see a shiny gold box. Put in your email, and you'll be automatically subscribed to the newsletter.
Yeah, and we we had to do a little what's been your favorite and your worst signing so far. I kind of went in on the Eagles there. I did not like what they've done so far. So if you want to know what I had to, what I wrote about them, go ahead and check it out. Even if you're not an Eagles fan, I think you'll like. And I did like, there was a player we talked about on the last episode that I was really excited to see where he signed, and so I kind of talked about that. But Gilbert, one last other thing that I guess we would need to talk about, and that is, just to kind of get people to engage with us here. We're gonna ask a question here, and it has to do with with the signings that we've been seeing. Are the Rams on a 3-year Super Bowl window with their signings? Because if you look at all the signings so far, outside of the Demarcus Robinson, they've all been 3-year deals. So are they trying to tell us that they think that this window with Matthew Stafford, with Aaron Donald, with Puka Nakua, with Cooper Cup, is it a 3-year window? Let us know your thoughts because we want to know. And hey, I think it says a lot about the fact that they're giving these free agents 3-year deals. What say you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because obviously Matthew Stafford and Cooper Cup and Aaron Donald are not the youngest players, but I think they feel like they have like a 3-year window with these guys, and also maybe like if you never found like a Puka Nakua or Kyren Williams, you're probably thinking, okay, we got to go in this year, we got to go all in because these guys are old. You never know. Now it's like, you know what? They're not really our focal point. Like they are core guys, but they're kind of taking a back seat to Puka Nakua and Kyren Williams and Byron Young and Kobe Turner. Like that is a luxury about hitting on your draft picks. You kind of have like a more, it's you don't want to say you're getting complacent, but you have more leeway to be patient with the plan you're trying to build. And we all know the Sean McVay plan when he first got there, Todd Gurley and Jared Goff, and he tried to do it, his way, like a little more patient approach, and he got to the Super Bowl, but it wasn't working for him. They kind of threw that away and got aggressive and got Matthew Stafford. They won the Super Bowl right away. Now here they are again, chapter 3 of Les Snead and Sean McVay, and they bought themselves a little more time, but it doesn't feel like, sometimes when you're not the aggressive team in March of free agency, that's a good sign. Like the teams that get aggressive this time of year, like I was thinking about it, Victor, like the teams that go and bet on veterans who are not quarterbacks usually don't win the Super Bowl. Like the ones that bet on Tom Brady, the Buccaneers, that's a quarterback. You bet on Stafford, you won Super Bowl, that's the Rams. So for the most part, look at the Patriots and the Chiefs. They did it through the draft. They build the core group through the draft, and then you kind of bring in a couple guys here and there. You don't make too much of a splash, but here we are again. People are spending money, and I just don't know which team's gonna make it. Like, look at the Texans. They got a window with CJ Stroud, but now people like them. Daniel Hunter, Joe Mixon. It's like, I don't know. Is that enough to beat the Chiefs? I'd rather kind of take my chances with the draft, and it feels like the Rams are doing it the right way with building the trenches, being physical, and then keep doing what you're doing in the draft.
Well, talking about that, that kind of segues into what the Rams have been doing. Let me just go over it, and I just want you your takeaways just from everything that in terms of how they're going about this. So let's go to news and notes here. So the Rams signed Kevin Dotson to a 3-year deal. Last week we were here talking about the fact that the Rams don't spend on their offensive line, and right off the bat, before free agency gets started, we see Kevin Dotson being re-signed by the Rams for a 3-year deal, and they gave him good money. That it kind of told you where the guard position was going to go in free agency once you saw the numbers for Kevin Dotson. So let me just continue on, and like I said, I just wanted to get that in. Alaric Jackson gets a second round tender, so he's gonna get paid. I think it was around $3 million, if I'm not mistaken. Then the Rams signed guard Jonah Jackson through a 3-year deal. He has a cap hit of 13.6, 18.9, and 18.4 for the next 3 years. The Rams bring back Darius Williams. We talked about it last week that he was released by the Jaguars. Next thing you know, he signs back with the Rams on a 3-year deal as well. Then you have the Rams signing tight end Kobe Parkinson, someone that is from the area. He's from the Ventura County. He went to school at Oaks Christian, so a local boy comes home. That's pretty cool to see. And then Michael Hoyt gets tendered by the Rams for around $3 million, so he should be back. So with everything that's happened so far, Gilbert, the Rams have less than $10 million in cap space now. But they could add more cap space if they restructure Matthew Stafford, or they restructure Joe Noble, or they cut him as a post June 1st cut. So they can end up adding another 5 million if they end up cutting Joe Noble, which it kind of looks like it's going to happen, Gilbert.
Yeah.
So with all that, what's just been you talked about how you like how the Rams are being how they're going about building their team, but what is it specifically that you like?
Yeah, like I mentioned, like they have this plan here, and obviously, Les Need and Sean McVay, had a tendency of not paying offensive linemen. Well, that's out the window now, and we kind of fell into the trick of their old habits, and we should have known that when they were evolving the offense and the scheme, having more kind of a gap running style, that we should have known. Okay, you know what? Maybe guards will be more a priority, and that's what they did. So honestly, you're talking about kind of getting some more cap space. If they get more cap space by letting go of Joe Noteboom, honestly, I think it's probably just to have some kind of flexibility in case somebody is available in June or something happens where a player wants to get traded, or maybe like a Legarius Sneed. Sneed's still out there on the trading block, but you kind of want to have that. But I think for right now, they might be done, and I'm okay with that. I like what they did. Adding a Jonah Jackson, who I really like from the Detroit Lions, and when Jonah Jackson got hurt towards the end, you obviously could tell that the Lions really missed him. I think he did play for that NFC title game, but when Jonah Jackson was there, you know, David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs were playing pretty well because they were creating running lanes there. So imagine now you got Jonah Jackson with Kevin Dotson and Steve Avila in the middle. Like I'm curious to see what they say about Steve Avila. I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing at center. That was the first thing I thought about when they got Jonah Jackson. Okay, Steve Avila at center. I like that. Steve Avila at center, and then those two other guys in the interior offensive line. You got Rob Havenstein on the right side, and I just saw Jonah Williams from the formerly the Bengals going to
The Cardinals.
the Cardinals. So there's not a lot of tackles left. Obviously, you can still spurge for a Tyron Smith. So maybe that could be something there. But like we mentioned, the draft is loaded with tackles. You might want to take a tackle. But hey, maybe you do get a Tyron Smith. Like you mentioned, they do have cap space. and then you go get an edge rusher like a Latu from UCLA. So they just created so much flexibility for the draft now because you also added a veteran cornerback and Darius Williams. So you don't have to get too aggressive in the draft. Now it's like, okay, cool. We kind of have some protection here. Allery Jackson's here at left tackle. You kept Michael Hoyt too on the edge. So they're playing this pretty well. Obviously, maybe you want to get one more free agent, but for the most part, I like what they've been doing so far.
Yeah, it's been great to see just because I mean that was my biggest question mark is how are you going to go about fixing this offensive line. And I completely didn't think of what they ended up doing in terms of moving Avila to center and then bringing in a Jonah Jackson. I didn't even think about that. I just when and that's one of the things about kind of getting creative in free agency. And that's one of the credit, that's where credit goes to Les Need because and their scouts and their coaching is they're looking, they're playing chess instead of playing checkers here. They're move, the fact that Steve Avila we knew was a center coming out of college at TCU. And so just to see, he only allowed what 4 sacks in his 2 years there at TCU. I think it was 4 or 6 sacks in 2 years at his last 2 years at TCU. So he's been really good at center. As coming out of college, everybody said going into the draft he's probably better suited to be a center. So now he moves to the position that he's supposed to be playing, and now you got a Jonah Jackson and a Kevin Dotson. You're building the trenches up the middle. You're able to use that power running game that you installed last year, and now you're creating holes for Kyren Williams, and Ronnie Rivers. I still hope that they bring in a veteran running back. I want to see that. And then, as you talked about, kind of, and this was going to be my question. My next question to you is, what's the biggest positioning now after the Rams free agents? I mean, like, yeah, we just talked about they only have like they have less than $10 million left, but you can still have little signings here and there. What do
Yeah.
you think would be something on like a value that they can go and pick up? For me, it's running back. I think if you can get a veteran running back, especially like a bruiser, I think would help that backfield.
Well, the tough part is a lot of them went off the board the last couple of days because again, the draft doesn't have a lot of good running backs, so a bunch of them just are found new teams. So like, okay, what can you find out there? And I haven't really looked to see what's at the bottom of the barrel for free agent running backs. I'm sure there's some good ones out there, and the Rams will probably add one, like you mentioned, for at least for competition. But I wouldn't mind the draft for running back too. Make it kind of have the more the better there for Kyren Williams for the backup insurance part. But I think for the biggest need right now, and I don't know if I want to see them take care of it in free agency, but they got to get another edge rusher. I like Michael Hoy, but he's not the answer opposite of Byron Young. Byron Young had a nice rookie year. You got to get more, experience there, edge rusher out. I was thinking they might do something. Daniel Hunter, went off the board. Jonathan Grenard, all these edge rushers who I thought were going to stay with the respective team, they kind of had like a weird trade, but not really a trade. But they were available. So and also Brian Burns got traded, and maybe for a second round pick, if you're the Rams, would you have done that trade? They did have cap space at the time, so that didn't work out. So I think maybe focus on edge rusher in the draft, and if you want to, but also too, you know, like I told you guys last week, like what, I would like Tyron Smith to be the left tackle for the Rams. Like again, like we're talking about 3 year window. How about a window for right now? Just focus on
Yeah.
2024. Then maybe you could get your edge rusher in the draft. But then again, I think the tackles were better than the edge rusher, so maybe you get a better offensive tackle in the first round, and then maybe you get like a Jadeveon Clowney, or I told you last week too, just in case Chase Young, if he's out there,
Yeah.
bring him in on a cheaper kind of contract.
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna see guys get cut post June 1st, and you'll see more and more guys available, and I think those are the guys that end up actually doing well. Is the guys you want to look for guys that probably didn't fit into the scheme they were in, and so their rookie contract ran out, and now you're able to pick them on a prove it deal. And Chase Young comes to mind there. He's somebody that you can get and you can coach them up, and that is someone to kind of keep an eye on. You never know with and the asking price starts to go down as the teams start to kind of not run out of money, but you're kind of also looking ahead to next year. Like as we saw with the Broncos, we talked about, hey, just because you have, the salary cap went up, they decided, you know what, we're gonna pay our bill now, and we're gonna move a little bit of that money that we need to pay Russell Wilson. We're gonna move that some of it to next year, and that's what the Rams did last year. They were like, look, we're gonna pay our bill this season, and then we're gonna get right back to it next season. But they ended up making the playoffs. So I mean, that just tells you as well, you just have to wait and see what happens with the rest of the league, because eventually the price will come down and you can go and get a nice player that you weren't expecting to get.
Yeah, that's kind of like the good thing about I guess Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at free agency, and like I was joking with you, Victor. The ones that take in person visits, they're the ones just trying to create a market for themselves. Like, hey, can you leak that saying that I'm gonna go to Carolina, or I'm going to Detroit? Maybe another team wants me, and I don't have to get on the plane. So that's kind of happening with Chase Young. I saw DJ Reader's taking a couple visits. A couple players are taking visits too. That's the old school way. But those are usually the guys who are in the second wave, third wave, trying to find a nice home. But if you want to get Chase Young and you want him to take a 1 year prove deal, like I guess where do you draw the line in the sand? Is it a 1 year, $9 million? That seems pretty low for Chase Young. Would he take that? If Chase Young say, you know what, I want to get a starting job, I want to prove myself, I want to go to somewhere where I could kind of benefit and shine. There's a starting spot there for the Rams.
Yep,
If
exactly.
you want to be in LA working with Shula, the new, I know it's a new DC, but you also get to work with Sean McVay, who's doing more of the offense, but you're going to be with less need, also a organization that knows how to win, knows how to put players in the best position. So maybe something like that could bring them in, but I'm sure Chase Young is going to have a decent market where he could get maybe $12 million for 1 year or 14, whatever it is. So I think by then the price is too high. But like you mentioned, they have some salaries cap space. But yeah, maybe get some guys who are not the most known guys, but an edge rusher to help out for depth. Maybe some special teams aces. How about that?
Yeah.
Maybe like I mentioned, a veteran running back. Maybe keep adding another tackle here for the Rams. But I think for the most part, most of the big moves are going to come through the draft. And I know people they're going to look at Darius Williams, they're going to look at Jonah Jackson and say, it's not, or resigning your own. And Kevin Dotson's like, it's not the best free agency, but you don't want to win this time of year. You don't want to be in a story that I wrote at SI, winners and losers, and you're under winners because maybe you're going to be a loser in 2024.
Yeah, no, and I mean they've gone about it the right way. I mean, just look at Kobe Parkinson too. Like that's
Yeah,
another deal that people are gonna be like, who? Like he's a 6'7" guy. Remember, where was the biggest struggle for this team offensively was the red zone. Having a big target like that, especially someone who can block. That's what you need in this 11 personnel, a tight end who can block. We all know what DA can do in Davis Allen. He's really good catching the ball, but he's a rookie coming out who still needs to work on his blocking. But Tyler Higbee might not be ready
yeah,
at all next season. And so that also gives you the ability to be able to let him get ready when, truly healthy, and be able to be ready to go whenever he's, fully healed. So I also like that. I mean, sometimes these little small moves is what ends up getting you, to the next step. And for them, it's trying to beat, the San Francisco 49ers, knock them off out of the division. I mean, San Francisco's lost a lot of talent between Eric Armstead. That's another guy that the Rams could look at too if you want to add depth. I mean, that's as you talked about. I think for me, the other important thing is getting special team guys. I think I was expecting them to get some guys like a receiver that can play special teams, a cornerback that can play special teams, guys that but a lot of them are also getting expensive too, Gilbert. I saw the guy from the Ravens. I think he went. Where did he go? I forget where he went, but he cost a little bit of money too. So I mean, people are paying for these non-premium positions as well.
yeah. I thought they would have done a little more in the special team side, but they got a plan, and we'll see what happens. It wasn't the best plan last year on special teams, but guys that were thrust into starting roles last year, maybe now you have more depth. Maybe they contribute a little more on special teams, and their snaps kind of cut down too. in 2024 because also you have an incoming draft class, you have free agents coming in. So I think for the Rams, they needed to build depth, and they got a little more, this time around. So we'll see what happens with special teams. But yeah, you kind of looking around, and the 49ers don't have the luxury to make a lot of moves because they use most of their cap space on paying all these star players. And I think the main thing for the 49ers was like, okay, don't trade Brandon Ayuk. He's really good. Find the way to keep him. But unfortunately, that cost them Eric Armstead, and just kind of reading some of the beat reporters there. Eric Armstead's been up and down. I thought he was still pretty solid, but injuries and age have caught up to him. So hey, obviously the Rams have Kobe Turner and Aaron Donald, so maybe might not be the best decision, but the more depth on the front, the better. And obviously the Rams have been focusing on the defensive front and the offensive front, and that's never a bad plan or a bad approach to go in the offseason.
Yeah, and one other thing just wanted to ask you about just has to do with Matthew Stafford. I guess now we know why he was being followed by cameras. He's going to have his little feature that premieres on April 18. It's called Locked In. Just in terms of Matthew Stafford and what he did last season and how impressive that was. Uh, I think that's also it'll be something cool to kind of watch, but at the same time, I think this season is going to be very important for him because now I think he's starting to get to that point where he needs to make a statement in terms of the Hall of Fame. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer or not? I think these next couple of years are big for him for that.
Yeah, I think for me, when he won the Super Bowl, he got in and playing. Obviously he got lost a little bit with the Lions, but you look at the numbers, he was still a quality quarterback. But and then doing what he did last year too helps out when you're. I know he didn't win the playoff game, but doing what you did in prime time against the Detroit Lions, that kind of sticks in people's minds. He took a lot of hits in that game too, and it's a little, I guess, ironic because the Rams kind of like somehow made it work where like just taping up the offensive line, shuffling guys around, and it fell apart a little bit in that playoff game. And Stafford had to tough it out, but it was just one game, not like 2022 was a bunch of games. So they probably saw that. And you know what? We can't settle. The Rams are saying to each other, okay, go get Jonah Jackson, keep Kevin Dotson. I don't care that you got him for like a fifth or sixth round pick. You got to keep him. So I think for Stafford, yeah, maybe it could be debate if he's a Hall of Famer or not. Keep him healthy, keep him upright, and we saw last year what the results are going to be. But I'm interested to see what happens with Cooper Cup too. Like with Puka Nakua, they got a Demarcus Robinson back too. We'll see what happens with the tight end position that you mentioned. They got Parkinson, and we don't know about Tyler Higbee. So I feel like they need one more player at a wide receiver or even tight end or like a backup running back. They need something else. But obviously they got a good start with the trenches, and you get a nice left tackle in the draft, or maybe Tyron Smith. I don't know, but the whole focal point for the Rams is they saw last year is Stafford's healthy and he's standing there in the pocket and delivering. The results are pretty good. So and we could debate all we want about the Hall of Fame, but if you have another window where 2 or 3 years of playing that well, it won't be in conversation after that.
All right, Gilbert, let's move on to our comments from our YouTube, and it segues right into what we were just talking about. And there's this comment here from James Wheelock. It says, speaking of that, how about a backup quarterback? They said that, Lesney said that was one of their priorities, getting a number two, a veteran. What do you see? I mean, it's the price for a backup quarterback is going up right now. And as you see, so there's not a lot of options left. What do you think?
Yeah, they kind of waited pretty late, but I don't know. Maybe Carson Wentz could be the guy. Carson Wentz hasn't got signed. I saw Joe Flacco's going to the Colts, and that's pretty smart because Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy. So you get Joe Flacco to maybe do some magic again there. Obviously, Minshew went to the Raiders. Jacoby Brissett went to the Patriots. So these quarterbacks they go very quickly too. So uh, I don't know. Maybe not. Why not with Carson Wentz? Sam Darnold went to the Vikings. Might be a starter. Who knows? But they waited last year. They might wait again. But to me, they gotta get a good backup quarterback that you could trust and rely on. And I say that because Stafford's a little older. You never know what the quarterbacks do. But hey, they protect him. Maybe they don't have to worry about it, and maybe they feel good about Jonah Jackson arriving. That hey, you could wait on the backup quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, well, uh, the Jets signed Tyra Taylor, so you know that they're moving on from Wilson there. So we'll see. I mean, there's been a lot of, we've seen how Sean McVay is with quarterbacks. If he gets enamored with the quarterback, he might bring him in and think he can fix him. So
Maybe he'll
we'll
draft
see.
one, getting ready for the future. I don't know, like a Bo Nix or something, or Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, I don't think
But
there's
in the
Delbert.
second round, if they get
Yeah,
there,
yeah, Delbert Sagadas' update on Bennett.
I don't know.
I don't think we'll ever see Bennett
Yeah,
be in a NFL. I don't think so. Just because of we haven't heard anything, unless we hear an update from the Rams. It seems like they just been hush hush. They just want to sweep it under the rug. So as of for now, I think that we'll probably never see uh, Bennett suit up in an NFL game again. Um, Game Downside says, "Do you see Aaron Donald posted a video of him dancing? He's excited about something. What is he
I
excited about, Gilbert?"
I don't know, but I'm not gonna try to guess what's going on in his life. Maybe he's excited about something that happened with his kids or his wife. I don't know, but I know people like to kind of, make things a big deal this time of year. It's always it's what is it, the eyeball emojis? They post on a story or a tweet, eyeball emojis. Everybody's like, excited. So I don't know. Maybe he's excited. Maybe he yeah. Let's try to think of somebody who's he close with. Maybe he's happy about Leonard Floyd, his friend, going to the 49ers. I doubt it. He's the 49ers or rivals there. But who knows? Maybe he's excited about Chase Young, Tyron Smith, something on the defense, or maybe he's excited about Bobby Wagner going to the Commanders, his former friend. I don't know.
We'll see. Who knows? It'll be something. He said it was a Rams. It was a Rams video, so he's
Hmm.
just probably
We're just
excited about.
catching up on Jonah Jackson being official, Kevin Dotson being official, Darius Williams coming back. That could be one.
Yeah.
Former
Yeah.
teammates
Yep.
and
True.
teammates again.
Yep. All right. So here we go. It says Gary Trehuyo said, "I think we'll take the dude from Iowa in the first round."
The
So
white guy,
the white guy, right?
Dejan, is it Cooper Dejan? I
Yep.
forget.
Cooper,
I
yeah,
got
Cooper.
Uh, yeah, maybe, but like this is why I like the Darius Williams signing. I'm not saying that you should settle after you got Darius Williams, but it gives you more flexibility to say, you know what, maybe you don't need a cornerback. Maybe you can focus on edge rusher because at first it was like it's a big hole at cornerback. Now you have somebody there. And maybe Kobe Turner takes a step forward after kind of a so-so second year, but yeah, obviously you need a corner. We talk about like last week, Terran Arnold, uh, Cooper DeJean. We talked about Nate Wiggins. Yeah, the guy from Toledo, Quinion Mitchell. So there are options. So I think this is the best part. For the Rams is like when you fill a couple of needs here and there in free agency. Then when it comes to the draft, people don't really know where you're going, and maybe that's a good spot to be in when people don't know where you're going because you can always trade up, trade down, and it's not as obvious for what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and looking at Darius Williams, he's not a big guy. I think he's like 5'8", 5'9". He's not a tall guy, so it would be nice if the Rams would get somebody who's a little bit taller, like over 6 feet tall, to kind of pair with him on the outside. I think they have a lot of smallish corners, so it'd be nice to get a big physical.
So
Not
Quinion Mitchell to the Rams.
yeah, Quinton Mitchell would be a one to kind of keep an eye on if that happens. Delbert Salgado says, now we give Shula some weapons on defense through the draft. Obviously, money will dictate. Hoping Stafford restructures. Oh, kicker, please. Yeah, I've been looking at
Yeah,
the kicker market as well, so that's a good point. All the kickers are going. We just saw Philly, the Buccaneers resign, the Texans
yeah,
resign their kickers, so they're running out of options. I think McManus, where did
yeah.
McManus sign?
I forgot where he went, but he got signed too.
Yeah, so you're running out of options there, and that they're gonna give Ram fans a heart attack if they don't take care of their kicker situation, especially now that they have a little bit of money where they can actually go and pay for one.
And by the
Uh,
way, shout out to Delbert. He signed up for the Compas on the Beat newsletter. So thank you for that. If you just got here, you get a newsletter, and we're gonna talk we're gonna write in that newsletter a lot about the Rams. So make sure to go to compasonthebeat.com. Go to the middle of the home screen, see the gold box, type in your email, and you're automatically signed into the Compas on the Beat newsletter. So if you do that, we'll be very grateful for that.
Look at you just segueing into promotion. I love it. All right, El Fer says, "Let's go Rams." They're doing a good job right now. I
He's
think you
excited.
can't excited. Everybody should be. I mean, what the Rams are doing right now, they're not sexy. Like, hey, you're already set at the sexy positions. You got a defensive tackle in Aaron Donald. You got a quarterback. You got a running back. So right now, you're just trying to take care of that. Delbert Salgado says a 3 year window, obvious, but what's the approach beyond that? I think you kind of have to look at it in windows, Delbert, because you're starting to look at especially in the NFL, you can go pat beyond that. I think you go through 3 year windows. You try to get as much talent as you can, and you try to go for and make that run. I think that's what the Rams are trying to do. That's why you're kind of looking at that 3 year window right now.
Yeah, most contracts nowadays are like 2 to 3 year, I guess, guaranteed contracts. And then if you see a contract is like 4, 5, 6 years on it, then it's probably a couple of void years on those contracts where you get rid of the contract after 3 years. So it's kind of standard. So I wouldn't be too, caught up on that, Delbert. But yeah, you don't know. Like maybe it is just 3 years for Matthew Stafford, and then what do you do at quarterback? But that's something to worry about. Hey, maybe actually in April's draft, because a lot of people are predicting the Rams might take a quarterback, but obviously whoever they take in 2024 won't be the starting quarterback because that's Stafford still.
Yeah, that's true. And like I said, I mean, you might have Stafford around for another 2 years and trying to make a case for the Hall of Fame. Alonso Takanga says, "Go Matadors." Yes, we are both
Yeah,
CSUN alums, and so
eight
we're
eight
keeping
thirty.
we're keeping an eye on this game between the Matadors and the Gauchos. So yeah,
I don't believe the Mavericks are going to pull it off, but
uh,
if they get to the second round of the Big West tournament, I'll be excited for them. But I graduated from Cal State Northridge in 2012. I think you were the year before, Victor, or 2 years before that.
2010.
Yeah, and they haven't done crap since what when since Alonso graduated 2009. So we are excited because they actually won double digit games this year. So we'll see what happens to them.
Yeah, they were up 11 at halftime. I don't know what the score is now.
Oh, I thought the
Uh,
game was at 8:30, so they're doing well right now.
no, I thought I saw they were up, but it could have been the women's. I could be wrong. I saw it on my Twitter, but I could be wrong. Like I said, I was on a walk, so I
Well,
wasn't.
according to Alonso's alert, it's at 8:30 p.m.
Maybe it was 8:30 Eastern. So who
Oh,
knows?
could be, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Delver, back to the comments here. Delver says running back from Notre Dame. I would like to see in camp. Um, that would be kind of cool to see another Notre Dame guy. Last time they drafted a Notre Dame running back, it turned out well in Kyren Williams. So that'll
Yeah,
be something to keep an eye on. And then we're gonna go back to James Wheelock here. He says, how about another speed receiver in the draft? I mean, oh, that was the
yeah.
other thing I forgot to mention, Gilbert. The Rams were awarded 5 picks for all the players that they lost the year before. So, I mean, they're going to have their options to kind of do the same thing. I mean, last year it was 14 picks. This year it's going to be, in the double digit numbers again, like 10 or 11 picks. They're going to be able to, Les Need's specialty is picking guys in the 5th and 6th round. He's going to have a lot more options to be able to go get, different players, especially for special teams.
Yeah, I'm with you, James. I think the Rams need a speedy wide receiver. I think it's time to pull the plug on Tutu out. Well, he has one more year left on his contract, but I don't know. He does it in spurts. He does it. He's shown some flashes, but you got to be more consistent, and it's hard to do that when you're playing behind Puka and Cooper Cup, and they're running the football a little more too. But I'm not saying they should go out and get this guy, but you could get like a Curtis Samuel or Marquise Hollywood Brown. These guys are speedsters, but that'll cost you a little more money. But Victor, you're probably right. More, you should probably lean towards the draft to get a speedy wide receiver, but I think they should address it. I don't know about Tutu. He's had his opportunities the last 3 years.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, as the more talent you can bring in, I saw some people, saying that maybe they can trade for Mike Willie, or I mean, go and get Mike Williams on a
Mm.
cheap deal. You never know. I mean, hey, I thought about it. I was like, well, why did you sign Demarcus Robinson then? But honestly, at this point, if you can get a talent like a Mike Williams, or even like you said, Hollywood Brown, anyone, you go and get it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have extra talent. I just wouldn't bring back OBJ. There's no
No.
reason to bring back OBJ.
I think we've moved on from that storyline.
Yeah.
But Victor, how about before you move on, can I drop the Puka
Yes.
Nakua
Yes.
jersey
Yes.
keywords
That
here?
was my fault because I dropped the ball on that. So I apologize. But go ahead and let the people know what we're doing.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to give away a Puka Nakua jersey when we get to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we got to 900 next time I check my phone here, but that means we'll be 100 subscribers away. But when you get to 1,000, we're gonna give away the jersey. But the best way to do it is when you see the keywords in a couple seconds, type them in the live chat or in the comment if you're watching the replay video here. But I'll keep it easy here because they got some maulers on the Rams. So type in maulers for the key or just keyword this time. Keyword with an exclamation point for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. So type in maulers. If you want to get an extra entry for this somewhat of a raffle, send me an email, Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com, Gilbert with the note at compasonthebeat.com. YouTube username, your actual name, the time that I dropped the keywords, check right here somewhere or down here, I guess, for you. And then give me the keywords, Maulers, for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway.
Yeah, I lost the keyword.
Oh,
What did I do? Oh, there we go.
Maulers.
There we go.
Arr.
Maulers. There you go. You got
There you
Delbert
go, Delbert.
Salgado. There you go. And then let me go over Delbert here. Our core is getting long in the two Heaven Sun Cup, Stafford and AD. So yeah, you got to go for it these next 2 years with these guys, and I'm with you. I mean, if you
Yeah.
can go and get more talent, go ahead
They
and do
already kind
so.
of got one. Delbert, they
Yeah,
got Puka and Kyren and Byron Young and Kobe Turner. They're doing
yeah,
okay for a second younger core group.
yep. And then Mahomes just restarts chasing that three-peat. Good
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
Cuernos. All right, Gilbert. If anybody has any more comments, go ahead and get them in. We're pretty much about to close up shop. But Gilbert, just give me your overall thoughts on. We've talked about, we've gone over what the Rams are doing. We like what they're doing. They've been. Are there any kickers? I would now go down the kickers. A young guy. I think you want to go the
Yeah.
veteran route. We saw it. It just usually if you are not that good of a team, you take a chance on a kicker in the draft. We saw with the 49ers with Moody, they tried it. It was an up and down season for him.
He made his
It,
kicks in the Super Bowl though, so I give him credit for that.
yeah, but you're just gonna have to go through it. I mean, and maybe you can get somebody in the draft, but I just wouldn't go that route. I think you need to go and sign. Yeah, I mean, he's still available, Steve. He is. That's another guy you can bring back, but he's getting pretty old there, Gilbert.
Yeah. No, I'm with you because maybe last year you could have gone. Well, I guess they kind of tried doing that with some rookies or some young guys because you just didn't know what you had in this roster, and now that they're actual legit playoff contenders and the bar is pretty high, I wouldn't take a chance on a rookie. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I just don't like drafting a kicker on day two, on the second or third round. Like if somebody that you think is really good, it's gonna be a fourth or fifth round pick, and okay, that guy has a leg on him, why not? So, but maybe in competition doesn't hurt either because it's a whole mental mind game for these kickers. If you have an intense competition in the summer, where like maybe you're building pressure in the preseason or in training camp, maybe that's better for the long run. So maybe draft a kicker and bring in a veteran to push them. But Extreme, how's it going, sir? From what I remember, I think you were a Detroit Lions fan,
He's a
so
light guy.
you can maybe provide a blueprint or the scouting report on Jonah Jackson.
Yeah, and I mean, I like what they've done so far. I like what some of the moves that the Lions have made so far. I mean,
Yeah, they're not settling at outside cornerback. They traded for Carlton Davis the third. They re-signed Emmanuel Mosley, and I know they got some other cornerback, but I'm blanking
yeah,
right
the
now.
former Raider,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Amik
Robert.
Robertson.
Yeah.
Amik Robertson. He's a good slot guy. He's a bit undersized, but he'll be a good guy to have. But yeah, it's been awesome to see. He's Steve On says, by the way, getting close to that 1,000 subscribers. If I win that jersey, get a double XL because it's going to Victor. There you go. So there we go. I
Okay.
I would like. Hey, I'll be
Yeah.
down to get a Puka Nakua jersey. So there we go. Awesome. It's been great. We love the feedback. Thanks for being in the comments. Let me go through the name: Gary Trujillo, Delbert Sagaro, as always, El Fer, Alonso Takanga, James Wheelock, Game Down Sights, and then we got Extreme Chef and Steve on. So we appreciate. Thank you guys for hopping on. We'll try to be back in a week, but we'll keep you guys updated. It's as long as the Rams continue to make noise here and continue to, oh, we got one more here. It says, what's a must over else in the draft? Edge or offensive line?
Oh,
OT than edge, in my opinion. So he says that he would rather go offensive tackle and then edge, in his opinion. But
okay.
where do you go, Gilbert? What's the
You
number
know,
one priority for the Rams in the first round, or whatever their first pick is? Because
yeah.
they might be enticed to trade back.
I'll answer in two ways. I think the most important position I think they need right now is another edge rusher. But in terms of talented prospects in the first round, tackle or cornerback would be my way. You don't want to go for needs. I always get you in trouble. Go with the best player available, and it'll probably be a tackle or a cornerback.
Yeah, especially with how how loaded that offensive line, And the other thing I thought about, and thanks Joaquin for your question there, because I thought I heard somebody say it, so I'll give him credit. To Doug McKay from Locked On Rams, he's like, if they draft another Jackson, now you have three Jacksons. You'll have Alaric Jackson, you have Jonah Jackson, and you'll have Jackson, Johnson, Powers. So you'll get the Jackson three there. So that'll be kind of cool to see. And then Extreme Shaft, it feels weird how quick things start up when your team goes deep into the playoffs. Not trying to rub it in. I am being totally serious. Playoffs don't happen very. I mean, it wasn't since what 1993 and 1991 for the Detroit Lions, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they have they have a good enough team to be able to go back to the
They know
playoffs.
how to draft players. That's a big.
Yes,
That's important.
yeah, I mean, and and that's the other thing. Losing Jonah Jackson, you would think is gonna hurt them, but they can go and draft another, offensive lineman, just because we saw how, we've been talking about it, how deep this offensive line draft is gonna be. So that's something. I like what Detroit is doing. Delbert Sagara says, "Let the chess game begin. Snead is a master." Yeah, and I can't wait to see. I'm gonna be paying. It's crazy for me. I usually pay attention to the first couple of rounds, but when it comes to the rounds, I'm actually going to pay attention to their later rounds now, because he's hitting on a lot of these guys, and one of these guys is going to pop next year, and I kind of want to make sure that I'm on top of it this time around.
Remember last year when the Rams had the same pick that they used, like same number pick they used on Cooper Cup. There's like a lot of pressure on that pick. I forget which one it was. I mean, it was like a third round pick. I forget.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it was Byron Young, but I could
okay,
totally be wrong.
but now it's gonna be the same thing with Puka Nakua, whatever number it, or even just the fifth round. Same thing, Kyren Williams, or whoever we get in the fifth. Big shoes to fill. So we'll see what happens. But hey, the Lions and the Rams just showed you, like, if you keep building through the draft, like, yeah, you can spend some money in free agency, but it's all about the draft. Like, when they got Sam Laporta and Jameer Gibbs, and with the Rams got Puka Nakua and Kyren Williams, that just makes all the difference in the world. Like, it should always be about the draft ahead of the free agency, and that's why teams that kind of fill a couple needs here and there, but also are in position for the draft to get better, are the ones that tend to do well.
All right, Gilbert. I promised I would get you out of here before 8 o'clock. It is 7:59 at the moment, so this was a great show. Shout out to everybody in the comments. We appreciate it. But Gilbert, let's see what else the Rams can do. We've loved the moves they made so far. I'm looking forward to seeing what else they can do. But go ahead and close us out. We got one more thing. Well, ADB extended. Also, fans, please be patient. A lot of restructures have to and are going to happen. So wait for the cap to go up and more signings. Yeah, I think this is the first process. The next process is going to be those post June 1st cuts, and then you'll see more and more guys after the draft being brought in. So that's where you get your special teams guys, and your depth is going to come later on post June 1st.
And to answer the AD question, I think the Rams have shown multiple times that they're willing to pay Aaron Donald big time money. When he wanted to retire, they gave him big time money. But now that he's a little older, I think it's time to kind of see how it goes, like on a year to year basis, because he's always hinting about retiring. Like, I think they're in a good position. Les Snead and Aaron Donald to say, you know what, we might not extend you right now. How about we kind of see after the season and talk again, like we've been doing the last few years. And I think when you have a relationship like that, don't be worried about an extension. Maybe it can happen, maybe it can't. But he is older. You know, 2 years ago he had the injuries, and you don't want to fall into a trap of overpaying somebody who's a little older. But also, he's still playing well, and at the same time, though, he likes to be on short-term contracts. So I think I wouldn't put too much pressure on AD being extended.
Yeah, and I mean he's somebody that as long as it's kind of like what you have with the Dodgers, where as long as Kershaw wants to
Yeah,
keep going, it's the same thing with Aaron Donald. As long as he wants to keep doing this, they're gonna bring. He's gonna be drafted and by the Rams, and he's gonna retire a Ram. And so it's up to him. It's his call, and they'll continue to work with him as they go along. So you'll see they'll either restructure him or depending on what it is that he wants. If he wants all his money up front, that's what they'll do because he's gonna go into the Hall of Fame as a Ram. So I mean that's part of the process too. You take care of one of your own, especially one that he's gonna retire with you.
yeah. But again, I don't know how Rams are feeling. Rams fans are feeling, but I think it's been a good week for them. They're building through the trenches. It's not the sexiest free agency class, but again, now they have options through the draft, and you don't want to be an obvious team that needs an obvious need in the draft. So uh, they're in a good spot. And but I get it. They have money to spend, and people want to see them spend it. But I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, like all the sexy positions that you look for, like the priorities, the quarterback, the running back, the defensive tackle. I think the one as we talked about with Joaquin, you want to take care of your left. You want to draft either a left tackle or a edge rusher to kind of just solidify those two positions. I mean. We respect what Alaric Jackson has done to come in as a undrafted
Yeah,
player and now be tendered by the Rams. I think it's huge, but I think you wanna get better at that position. You don't settle. Maybe you can use Alaric Jackson as as a swing guy, whether right tackle or left tackle. So I'm with Joaquin. I think your priority now is in the first round is either left tackle or edge rusher. But yeah, a lot to be excited about. And as Delver said, yeah, AD the first statue at SoFi, it should be. I don't think there's any doubt, right, Gilbert?
yeah, that'd be pretty cool if they do the first statue there. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe Cooper Cup gets one, but I think Aaron Donald will definitely be more deserving because of like the impact he's had the last 10 years.
Yeah, and Cooper Cup's been the face of the Rams for the last couple of years, just because of his involvement in the community. All respect to AD, but AD once the season ends, he leaves to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. He's a Pittsburgh guy.
disappears.
Yeah, he disappears. All right, Gilbert. So we went a little over than what I promised, but I'm glad because we got Joaquin and Delbert in here asking us some good questions. So yeah, like as I said, make sure be a friend, tell a friend. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so and then check out the newsletter. We got a lot of stuff there. We're gonna be writing about Gilbert, his all his knowledge with the whole NFL, and then I'll be talking some Rams on there, different things. So make sure you check that out. But Gilbert, let's go ahead and close this out. I mean, it's been a good couple of days for the Rams.
Yeah,
Let's see what else they can do. And once they continue to make moves, we'll be on here. I'll make sure to post something to let you guys know that we'll have a show for you guys.
yeah. Now that the first wave of free agency, I like I'm on a surfboard. First wave of free agency, we're on to the second wave. Not as rocky or as exciting, but the second wave here we come. So, but on that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.